It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. You know, I have one of those Ray-isms out there, and it goes like this. If you don't understand how you can be defeated, you're going to fall mercy to those who plan and execute your defeat. So today I want to use my Clear Touch interactive board, my magic pen, and I want to display to the imaging channel, the document imaging channel, those folks that sell and service copy machines. I want to show you where your threats are, and I want to show you what I see as the biggest threat to that industry. And of course, some of you will think, well, Ray, you're crazy. Some of you will think, well, maybe that's interesting. And the other people might think, man, you just sparked an idea. This gives me something to think about. So folks, without any further ado, let's pull up the board and get going. So here's our industry, my friends, and I'm talking about the dealers in the document imaging channel. Here's the reality. The core of our business, I'm going to put that in the middle. The core of our business is in that circle. It's the overspecking and overselling of A3 copy machines. That's what our industry's been doing for a long, long time. That's where all the money is. That's the core. That's the blood that pumps through the veins to the heart of the business. Go prematurely upgrade our own base, put them on another 5-year lease, go get some service, go get some clicks, off and running you go. Of course, there's been a threat over here with the A4. Yeah, I used a Lexmark A4 for that because I like Lexmark. But anyway, we got Lexmark A4 over here, been a threat. Trying to get into that circle. Trying to display some of these A3s, knock them out. We got another threat. Oh, this came with COVID, I guess. Office, the home office. Folks, the home office is trying to, wipe out some of these A3s. You don't need that machine by the water fountain. Just give your people some little printer at their house where they need to print occasionally. They can do it there. Having an impact on the overspecking and overselling. Here's something having an impact. E-commerce. That doesn't matter whether the dealers do e-commerce or not because Amazon sure as hell does. A lot of our office products reseller friends, they're on e-commerce. There's a few dealers on it. But as long as they keep procrastinating, Amazon doesn't care. They'll love to give your customers an experience in a digital platform. So you know what? As more and more people start buying from these e-commerce platforms, as more and more people start to realize they don't need the big giant A3, that business will take more and more of them away. Here's something interesting, folks. Software as a service in the cloud. Man, it's taken away some of those fancy apps we splattered all over these copy machines, hoping people would walk up and use them. We don't need to. Got a lot of stuff in the cloud now. Software as a service. Cloud services. Changing the game. Very interesting. Oh, but think about it. You're saying, well, we do more than just A3. We do IT services. Oh, yeah, you got some IT services business. That's what that picture is down here. Yeah, it's moving up inside that space. But let's be honest, folks. If you lost all those A3s to the A4, to the home office, to cloud services, to e-commerce platforms, you can't live off the little IT business you got. And you procrastinated that for like 10 years too. Some of you doing quite well at it. I've talked about those folks, like my friends at Marco. But some people say, well, Ray, with all the, people buying online, there's just tons of business in label printing. We can make a whole crap load of money in label printing. Well, sure, label printing. Maybe some of y'all can replace some of the money you lose from the A3 in label printing. But in all reality, the little people, those little businesses that use labels, they're going to buy the labels from the people that got the big giant label machines. And you know what? Those big giant label machines and those big giant web presses, there's not a whole lot of those out in the world, like 300 total. Now, the little label machines, people might buy those little label machines. They might put them in their house when they set up their little shipping department. But for the most part, you're not going to sell enough label printers to offset the millions and millions of dollars you're going to lose when people stop using the big giant A3s. It won't happen. And then some of y'all say, yeah, but production. Oh my gosh, you listen to some of the analysts, they'll think production is going to save the whole industry. You think production is going to jump in that circle. You can get rid of all your A3s and live off happily into the sunset. Well, guess what? That's a false rumor. Production print is about what? 1 to 1.5% of the entire market? I'm talking about business printing. What is it? What is production? I use Xerox as the machine because bottom line is they've owned that space forever. And now we got every manufacturer and their brother, except for Brother. I'm waiting for Brother to come out with a 400-page, we're going to disrupt production print. Hopefully they'll never do that. But folks, the reality of it is there's not enough of that business to offset the millions and millions of dollars you're going to lose when the core of A3 gets replaced by A4, gets replaced by the remote worker, gets replaced by cloud services, gets replaced with e-commerce platforms. So what's the dealer supposed to do? What's the dealer supposed to do is they're supposed to have already done it. They should have already diversified into IT services. They should already have an e-commerce platform. I cannot even believe that you have people like my buddy Norman Connicky trying to talk dealers into getting on an e-commerce platform. Absolutely mind-boggling. What's a dealer to do? They better understand these software solutions that are being delivered by the cloud. Can they monetize it? How do they do it? They better start going outside their circle. Because, folks, these thermostat things we're running around talking about selling, it's a short-term thing. We are not going to be taking our temperatures for the rest of our life before we go into an office building. Can we be serious about this? If we had that technology back in the early 1900s when we had the first pandemic, I assure you, as soon as the pandemic was over, we'd stop taking our temperature, because that's what normal people will do. We're not going to replace the millions and millions of dollars that we lose from the A3 marketplace. Ladies and gentlemen, this whole argument is about the business documents being replaced by alternative means. It's about the business documents being replaced. It's not about web presses and cut sheet inkjet and thermostats. It's about how do we protect ourselves when we lose this A3 core business. And we better start diversifying so we can get ready for that, because it's coming. It's coming a lot quicker than most ever anticipated. I want to end this with this. This weekend I wrote an article. Let me close this off here real quick. I wrote an article, and it was titled, Work from Home, the Real Argument. And I want everybody to think about that real argument. I started the article out with it. If in the 1880s, if they quarantined all the horses in the world. So picture this, 1880s, we told all the horses you got to go in the barn, you can't go out, and nobody can ride them. Would the automobile, would it have increased in its speed to market if that happened? Well, absolutely it would have. People had to get from point A to point B. They couldn't use the horse. The automobile was invented. It was already out. It would have ramped up production. Man, it would have been a home run for the automobile industry. But the more important question to answer is this. Once all the horses were let free out of the barn and the quarantine was over, how many people would have traded in that automobile they were forced to buy during the horse pandemic so they could get back on their horse? The answer is not a whole lot. And so the question for all my friends in the Document Imaging channel is this. When the quarantine's over, how many of those technologies do you think people are going to say, we're not going to use those anymore, we want to be oversold and overspec'd equipment? Not very many people, I'd imagine. Folks, remember this, status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.